somebody steals a purse, before you know the person is being prosecuted, but somebody that stole a bike, which we know that the person usually commits a murder before stealing that bike, we end up seeing the person on the community, and it's a threat to us that helps the police carry out that activity. So please, I would like the topic to be also attended to and taken note, please. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. And Dr. Agomo.
Okay. Okay, I think there are a couple of things that have come up and with some of the questions. I think it's important to ask ourselves what's the purpose of sentencing, and the purpose of the kind of technical word for it is the kind of disposition measure that the court gives. It's always important to understand that you need to look at the type of offense, whether it's property or property related, or whether these offenses are violence and violence related. And the problem we have is that we are not aligning the nature of the sanction or the nature of the sentence to the kind of offense, which means if you don't deal with that, it means that whatever you are doing cannot effectively deter that person. So I just wanted to state that as a claim. But also, it's important to understand that when we are talking about the things that are happening in a custodial sentence, we are talking about this as knowing that the custodial center is almost like the barometer, because when you're in custody, every problem that are from the upstream, you feel it there. If the police have done the wrong thing, you feel it on that. If the prosecuting agency or the judiciary have done the wrong thing, you still feel it in that point. Now, you talked about the issue of torture. It's about torture, cruelly inhuman and degrading treatment. Many of the inmates will tell you how they have experienced physical torture. I mean, right from torture from the police, and policing agency, to also how they have felt with inhuman and degrading treatment. Each of those are so problematic because Nigeria has signed the UN Convention Against Torture, Cruelly Inhuman and Degrading Treatment. Also, Nigeria has signed its optional protocol to the UN Convention Against Torture, Cruelly Inhuman and Degrading Treatment. And also, today is the International Human Rights Day, and therefore, for every reason, Nigeria must ensure that all of the persons that we process within our criminal justice system, that we say no to issue of torture, whether that torture is physical or whether it's psychological, and then also say no to the issue of cruelly inhuman and degrading treatment. And the conditions that many of the custodial centers are faced are very dehumanizing. The point made about the correctional officers, and I think it is important that we ensure that there's a balance in terms of their issues. You can't overstretch them. If you do, there's an impact on it. One aspect is about their whole package and their welfare. The other part is about the issue about the workload. Because if you look at this, and again, another point is about the proper resourcing of the facilities. Because if you are looking at channels and you are saying no, you have to say no to any act of corruption, it means that you have to look at the processes that make it more easy for corruption to happen. So if you are not providing money for fueling a vehicle to go to court, you are not providing adequate resources for all of the other things that have to happen in custody, it becomes problematic. Siri, you did mention something about feeding. It's a big issue, but the only point I need to make is that it is important that we look at feeding of custodial correctional inmates in a form that becomes sustainable, and it is important that we also see it beyond business and income that people are making. I don't want to go too much into this, but what we must note is that there are many countries that are looking at ways that their correctional centers or prisons can be self-sustaining. And I've always been mentioning to people, in Zambia, for example, all the vegetables that are eaten in Zambia are produced by inmates. They are 100% subsistence in terms of vegetables. Maize meal, at the time I visited, it was about 87%. And here the question, because somebody talked about the farm center, and DRG, you are correct. I mean, there are farm centers in LLA, in Port Harcourt, and Miadim, and Oko, in Edo, and many other places. But the farm centers, they are saying that the inmate that goes to the farm centers, at the moment, are inmates that have 6 months to go. That is low-risk inmates who are 6 months. So which means if you look at the proportion that are waiting trial, you will know that you're talking about less than 30%, and those 30% of those who have 6 months to go. So it is not popular, it's not run in a proper way. So we need to change that and utilize that farm in a form that it can be sustainable. Food is not just about the cost, it's also about quality, the nutritional value of the food, and the quantity. But we have to deal with whatever is the problematic things, and that's part of what the second phase of the panel's work is going to be, which is to ensure that all aspects that are corruption prone, that we look at it. And maybe I should say this as a last word. On Thursday and Friday of this week, which is on the 12th and the 13th, there is a public hearing at Fraser Suite for those who are in Abuja or close to Abuja. It is an opportunity to come to listen to the first hearing of the investigative panel. And again, remember, we have said earlier, if you have complaints, please do bring it. This opportunity for us to make the system work. In the UK, the reforms of the prison system in the UK came because of the prison riot that happened. And you have Honorable Justice Wolf's report. So this is the time that all Nigerians can put hands together and get a system that we all will be proud of.
And I just